Hello everyone, it's Ernest, your host. In today's show, we're going to talk about savings because there is no way you can acquire wealth or try to build wealth for you and your family without having savings, without knowing how to save. You see, savings is one of the ways that helps you create or start help you start your journey to creating wealth. Now, I read a book for some of you or those of you who are Christians. I read on the Bible in the book of Proverbs 6:6. It says, "Go to the ant, you sluggards, consider its ways and be wise." A different version says, "You sluggards, go to the ants and learn." What does the ant do? What it does, or what they do, is in the winter they eat the food that they gather in the summer. And the summer is the time that the ants labor and they gather their food in the summer. They preserve it, and that is what keeps them alive in the winter. So my question to you is, you see, savings is one thing that can help put you on the pedestal or put you on the path to becoming financially independent. But before you can start savings, or before I can give you the formula I use in my own life in savings or in planning what I use and to plan my way out of obscurity and out of lack and want and poverty into where I am today, savings should be a lifestyle. It's not something that it's not a one-off thing that you do. It's something that should become a part and parcel of you, that it's like drinking water, or it's like eating, it's like feeding. The day or the minute or the time that you don't have food into your system, then you are planning for your own death, because it's food and water that sustains your life here on earth, to live in. So likewise, savings will sustain you. Savings helps you to become financially independent. Savings is a long-term strategy. It's not overnight thing. It's not one-off thing. So when you inculcate, when you integrate, when you form the habit of savings, now you become freer, you become financially independent, and as you become financially independent, you become freer, you become more joyful, you become more focused, you become more productive, and you become more useful and valuable. Even if you want to start a business, the first in the bank we ask you, if you go to the bank for a loan or for financial support, the first thing we ask you is, what assets do you have? How much do you have on your savings account? Do you have anything? Do you have any savings at all? Before they can, it is from that point they begin to calculate the risks, of lending you money, or the benefit of lending you money, even for you to start your own business. Even some VCs, venture capitalists, one thing they want to know as well, how you've been able to manage, your own capital, your own equity, your own fund, your own money, before they can even get their own their own finance or somebody else's money or finance that they're managing, before they can get that involved into you, because they want to assess their risk. So, therefore, I want to give you the tricks or the strategy I've used in the past that have proven successful. I've given it to people and they've used it and it worked wonders for them. But again, like I've emphasized in all my podcasts, that it's going to require discipline. It's going to require commitment. It's going to require you doing something, nothing fall from the sky. You know what I'm saying? So manna last fell in the wilderness, and it hasn't been programmed again that manna is going to fall again. So until you move, nothing moves. Until you work, nothing works. So let's do something if we're to if we're to have financial independence, if we're to become financially independent, if we're to enjoy life, if we're to make good of our existence here on earth, because money answers all things. If you don't have it, you are as miserable as useless as you can possibly be. So, the formula I've used in the past, because I've touched on some of these things in my last podcast, but I'm taking it series by series. Like I started by saying you must have a plan, and once you have a plan, you must get off debt. I also recorded a podcast on how to get out of debt. I recorded a podcast on how to have a plan, and now I'm recording a podcast on how to save. So on these savings, there are different ways you can save. Depending on where you are. Like for example, in the UK, I know for sure that in the UK you have what they call ISA. ISA, ASA account, a kind of a savings account that you put some amount of money in there, and it's tax free, that kind of things. And also in the States it's quite different, and also in Canada it's also a different whole ball game on how you save, but the fundamental of saving still remain the same thing, and that is to keep money aside for something. Now, what I've done in the past, and this is what I've used in my own personal life, and I will implore you to use it because it has helped a lot of people, and if you can apply it, I am sure that it will definitely help you. And that is, I have this formula of 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. So whatever revenue, whatever money I receive, I don't care how much it is, I don't care what amount it is. The first thing I do is to pay myself 10%. And that is to put 10% of that money, of that income, in my savings account, straight up. And it's automatic. So this one you must do. If you can set up, in the UK they call it direct debit, but in the States it's something else. You can set up an automatic savings account, and whatever amount of money or income that you receive, either from your wages or from your from your wages or salaries or whatever, 10% automatically goes into your savings account, and you can call that account, that savings account, you can give it a name, whatever. Now you should also have a different savings account called emergency account. Then the way you put like money. For me, what I do is I put like 5%, what I call emergency account, for 5%, because emergencies don't come every month. Often the time it's kind of ad hoc stuff that comes up, that you wanna it's a kind of a problem that you want to solve, either for yourself or for somebody or for a friend or for a family. So I always have that 5% that goes straight into my emergency fund account. Now I also have vacation account, what I call a leisure savings account. My leisure savings account is where I put another 5% for my vacation. Every month or sometimes every day, sometimes it's depending on your income, because me as a business person, I have different businesses, that gets me income, on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis. So what I do at the end of the week, I know what has come in, I know what has gone into that savings account, that leisure savings account. Now I only use that for vacation. I use that to do other stuff I want to do. I also have a retirement account. I also have children's account, or my kids' college account, what I call it, and stuff like that. You can also have that, And so this is how you can prioritize it. You see, what I want to say here is that when you start saving, don't put pressure on yourself, because by the time you say, I want to save 20% of my income, 20, 25%, 30% of your income, you're already setting up yourself for a failure, because that is unrealistic. Why do I say that? Because if you say taking 20% of 25% out of your income, now it does mean that you're cutting from other things, other priorities that need to be done, to be saved, to be solved. You could be cutting from your feeding, you could be cutting from your electricity bill, you could be cutting from your car services, you could be cutting money or taking money away from other crucial areas. So, and that will leave you under pressure. That will put a kind of pressure on you that at the end of the day you begin to say, "Oh my goodness, oh, what have I done now? I mean, what am I doing this? I just got to use this fund to solve this problem." That because you misappropriate your funds and in your savings. It's misappropriation. So therefore, once you're able to sit down, that is why it requires a lot of planning, and that planning on a simple premises or on a simple premise of what do I want? What is my goal of savings? You must have a goal, and once that goal is understood enough by you, then you begin to save with ease. You begin to do stuff with ease. There's no pressure. There is no and because once you're under pressure, frustration comes, and you give up before you before you even get started, before you even know it. But I can guarantee you that if you can persist for 2 months, for at least for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, for 2, for 3, for 5, for 20 years, I can tell you, that in 5 years or in 3 years or even in a year, by the time you look at your savings account, you'll be overwhelmed with joy. You'll be overwhelmed with pride of what you've done for yourself, and how you've managed to do it. Like in the UK, there's a government scheme, but this is what I'm going to touch when I come to investment. Like in the UK, you have this scheme, government support scheme, that you can buy a house, and you only pay 5% deposit of that house. Say half a million, 250,000, or half a million, or 300,000, or 150,000, or 100,000, property, and you pay only 5%. It's a government help scheme. Now, the same property, if you've saved already 5% of a property that cost, say, or valued, or a mortgage of, say, 250,000, or maybe 200,000, and you already have 5%, which you already saved, you can put that money in there, and you live in that property as your property, or you rent it out or whatever, but normally you must live in the property. Now you live in that property, and you continue your savings, and after 2 years or 3 years or after 5 years, you decide to sell the property. You've raised enough capital again for another investment, but I'm going to touch on that when I come to investment. But I'm just giving you a kind of tricks on how to save money. So it's about 10%. Whatever source, whatever income you receive from whichever source that you receive the income, make sure that 10% goes into your savings account. 5% goes into your leisure. Another 5% goes to your emergency account. Then you must have your children's savings account. Maybe 5% can go into your kids' savings account. However, if you are the kind of person that has a lot of debt to settle, you have a lot of debt to pay at the end of the month, I would still advise you, don't ever forget or push aside savings. I still encourage you, instead of 10%, because you now have you have a lot on the table, you have to pay a lot of debt. Now, instead of 10% to your savings account, what you can do is to make it maybe 4% or 3% or whatever. Because I can tell you this, when you see equity, when you see money in your bank account, the kind of joy, the kind of peace, the kind of boldness, the kind of comfort, the kind of confidence that it gives you, it's something that it just, it's something that you cannot explain, the kind of empowerment you receive by looking at your bank account and you see it really doesn't matter how much it is. You just think, oh, this is my money. This is my money. I can do whatever I want with this money, you know. And so, regardless how much you're paying in debt, try as much as you can to save. Maybe just 2%, maybe 3%, maybe 1%, maybe whatever amount that you want to put in there. But try to put in something in your savings accounts. If this has been of any help to you, please subscribe, share, and leave me any comment or commentaries, and I'll get back to you. You can also register on my webinar or either ways MBA or strategic courses that would help you become more financially independent. Until then, stay safe.